Hello. No, it is Sunday. Gosh, it's the 5th. Wow. For some reason, I was thinking it was later, like the 8th earlier today. Was it the 8th? I was just thinking, let's put this over here so I don't knock it around. Have incense going, creating that sort of vibe of, reading cards and mysticism. The whole back could be smoky without seeing a bed or a open closet, but it's all good, right? So let's see where I can put this. Okay. I just don't want to knock it over. I have to go see on the floor everything. And then I have that. Ooh, it's very fun in here. I think I'm liking this incense vibe. For now anyway. Looks like I'm in a kind of a hashish den or something. So Coyote here. Hello, whoever might tune in. What I thought I would like to do is pull cards on this becoming and accepting a higher perspective, because to rise as a galactic human, we have to observe and we have to see from a broader perspective. In a conversation that Paul Selleck had with Michael Sandler of Inspire Nation, I talked about this. I talked about current events and, didn't go into the current events, but more like seeing things in life that seem to be here, right here. And yet knowing there's so much more happening, and that this is a time on the planet that we walked into, that we're all of us here in human form and animal form and other, chosen this time. Some of us come into these examples, these forms, and we're examples of the growth, whatever that look is. And I'm going to segue a little bit, but let me just get on this trail of we've come into to show each other, to dialogue, talk, be examples of shifts, change, and possibility. Now, from some of my observation, and I'm doing my best not to take it and when I'm offering is not the small funnel. It's more like in an overview, you get to observe, you get to discover, you get to follow the trail, you get to go deeper down rabbit holes, you get to examine if you want. What did you really believe? What did you see? What did you see? What do you really believe? And what is your belief in what you see and what you say based on? Is it based on something running our biology that's not good for us? Is it based on that you've always done it, so therefore you believe it? Is it based on that you question things and now you go along even if you don't like it, or maybe you've busted out? Some of the people are examples of horror, or examples of extreme torture, or examples of whatever mayhem they may have experienced and or caused, so that we can learn. They are a mirror. And some of us in rebellion of our own identity, of our own standing for what we feel is virtuous, true, or based in righteousness, whatever our current way of looking, we've been feeling toward, aiming toward being in alignment with such a different point of view. And the revelation being that while we are all in disarray, different camps, different examples, we're all one. We've all come here to learn. And some of the examples as people will perish, will die. They're going to leave the planet. They may have left the planet. And some are in the choosing still of leaving the planet, because they have not either been able to wake up, even in the choice. There is a timeline choice where it's almost like they will have a soul contract and some will go. They will have a soul contract that says they could choose, and then they will come to a crossroads, some of them, where they still self-doubt, so they will still choose to be examples. And there's a fine line there myself that I'm thinking, soul choice at a crossroads. Have they learned enough to wake up? Or they'll just be leaving the planet. Some of all of this will still fall under the guise of, well, they just got sick from a virus. Some, it will fall back on old definitions. But no matter what, everyone is here learning, transmuting, and we are awakening, ascending, and becoming. We are in our space of divine mastery. And so in this taking on that broader, higher perspective, or if this is sea level and you only see that much or this much, looking at ourselves, seeing what we're going through, and again, I'll always definitely use myself as an example. I have examples where I know I have certain triggers because I have no tolerance, and I'm not here to be a warrior to wake you up. I'm really not trying to wake you up. If I ever was, and sometimes I have, despite probably the look of Facebook or other I put out, I'm really not trying to wake you up. I don't even think I'm trying to shake people up anymore. I don't care. But I know there was something in me that I care enough that I see my own growth, and I'm not allowing it. As of this afternoon, it bothers me still if I see someone in a mask, and I will have no measure of words that play out in my mind and sometimes out loud. And then I have road triggers where I don't feel fear. I don't feel fear. I feel probably like a kind of righteous justification, authority, know-it-all. When people start to like cut me off the road, and I know I am so protected, but it triggers this, are you so fucking dumb that you cannot see, you asshole? That you like road, telling me to go faster when I really can't, and other people are going to run me off the road. There's no room. That's my stuff for learning. Because have I been to people? I don't feel like being very nice. In fact, I probably look like I belong to the camp of the Satanists. So I have no tolerance for stupid asses. Now, here's the other part of my learning. A lot of times I have a lot of understanding for stupid asses. Can't help it. Just like you may think I'm an ass at times, because I have no patience for those that are behaving very, very, very with machines of death, cars, badly. In any event, we are all learning, we're all becoming, we're all observing, or at least a lot of us are observing. So we could say by definition, well, I didn't like I think in more easeful ways to say, well, I didn't like that part of me. And no, I actually am certainly glad I don't have a gun in my glove compartment. And I am absolutely certain I'm glad I did not bilocate or become split into three people and float into your car and smack you and float into your car and bash your face in because you're so stupid that you want to ride this car up my ass to make me go faster on a highway where there's no room to go. No room to go. Like, so they had to also be more mindful too. The speed in which me, who they were sandwiching, otherwise they'd be at fault really anyway because they're in the back of me, inside of me, going too fast and not remembering what they supposedly learned, not only in driver's education, but just as a human, a good human, and a spirit in the body to behave with also their grace and allowing carefulness of being on a major highway. So it's quite fun actually to be me and lose it all and go, oh, I'm really glad. I'm very protected that I could not bilocate and triple locate. And then come back in my body and go, oh. But I'll be accountable to that. Because at this time, no one is getting off the hook. No one is getting off the hook. Not the evil, eaten Satan's people. And not anyone like me or you. When we lose it, we get to observe. We get to be accountable. We get to recalibrate, recalculate. We get our second chances. If we go too far and smack someone and they die, we've got to be accountable to that. Everything has its law. So I wanted to pull some cards about this higher perspective and be assisted by the cards to remind us, to help us to be a little, oh, hello, to be a little more than mindful, but to really start to embrace, because this is not a joke. We are in a very magical time, and I am reminded to really do this with my vision, my own life of moving, of body, of exercise, of dollars, energy, self-energy, rest and repair, almost any subject that you could name. So this is a little bit of an extension. I just sent out some energy, and it was really under the topic of helping us allow ourselves into that higher perspective. That higher perspective, that transmission, would really be of our own self-epiphanies, of allowing, attracting, being, embracing this perspective that angels and masters, guides are really supporting us into and expecting, like wanting us to follow through with, hey, collectively you wanted this, so now let's all step up. Let's all step up to this higher perspective. Let's understand that you are a galactic human. Let's understand that you are a divinity put in a human body. You will have the human experiences, however, we are coming to a time where we will transcend and walk through walls. We will transcend and walk on water. We will transcend and we will bilocate and triple-locate. We will transcend and allow energy to go through us, float and through us, and onto and attract in magnetism all that we desire, and to know fully on well to withdraw or abstain so that we are not creating by default. We're not creating a room of, I wanted all this stuff, but now I have nowhere to move. So we're stepping into a really big time of mastery. And so I wanted to see about what cards might come up, and what it could be partnered in this perspective of in our alchemic shift of self. You can see a 58-minute interview under Inspire Nation. Michael Sandler, that's his channel, and Paul Selig, who is a best-selling author. He writes somewhat heady and poetic books, but the newest one is called Resurrection. I don't know if this is a really old interview. It seemed when it was posted, it was 4 days ago. It might be, but it still will be one of Paul Selig's newest book. Paul Selig was, I believe, an English teacher in New York City, and there was some sort of epiphany or transition, and he started getting information, and then he became a worldwide lecturer and a medium. So I don't know if that means medium. He was just channeling people who passed, but he is a respected individual for hearing the voice of divine masters. Anyway, so you just made it. Deborah, it's really okay. The other transmission is between 15 and 19 minutes long, and I'm very, I think it will be felt. And then this is just going to be, I think, a little bit of fun. It is 9:17 my time. I'm going to probably move some of the incense a little bit, just a little bit. I've enjoyed it. Now I'm going to let it kind of be somewhere else. So the incense I've been using is Palo Santo. I've actually been using I think it's called Nagua Champ, and it is an Indian incense. Nag Champa. Nag Champa. It's not, it's potent in a different way other than Palo Santo. And what I usually, sometimes I break some of my sticks in half, but these were actually cones. And it wasn't bothering me, but I've been burning quite a lot. So I've enjoyed some of that mystical look. And now I'm just wanting to not have so much smoke around me, but I've opened the windows. The other incense I have is actually like angel incense, and that's on a stick, and it's I believe Melchizedek angel. They're calling it angel Melchizedek, but to my recollection, Melchizedek is an ascended master. So maybe that is still considered an angel. I would have to look up more about that. And also Melchizedek was embodied as the king of Salem in the Middle East at one time. So that is the story. Let's see. So this is in Spanish, so we can practice, I think. Is an angelic high priest. He serves on God's blue ray. Ask him if you are uncertain what is the right thing to do. He's the king of righteousness. So that's a little bit that's on here. I know him through, I've just always known that name. And I've also heard it in a book, and I think it's called The Alchemist, by a Spanish writer, not to be confused with other books of similar title that are about witchcraft, or a fictional book on witchcraft or stuff like that. The other book is very inspiring. So for my cards initially, for this title, which was also part of the energy work, I got a King of Air, and I got the Ace. Oops, if I do it this way, the Ace of Air. And Debbie and whoever else who listen, if I'm talking very slower or meticulously, I may be a little tired, but I just feel like don't want to mince words. I just want the right thing come forward. So the Ace of the King of Air, wise one, authority, leader, a seasoned, aged person, perhaps even one that is ageless. King of Air, wise, seeing everything from the air. Air is about creativity and passion. And I wanted to pull up here for a second. 1 second. Just really picture that I wanted to use. So air is about intuition, knowledge, renewal, and change. So if we think about it that way, the color is yellow, so spine, spleen, solar, as far as I still know the color, solar plexus, spine, spleen, solar plexus, I believe is, let me align it with the color of the chakras. Show pictures of color of the chakras.
Images of colors. Okay.
This is the solar plexus. Let's look at that. Oh. Keeps on. It's not really coming up the way that I wanted it to. So one moment. Okay, so let's just do that. Let me do that. Okay. Represents self-esteem, pleasure, willpower, personal responsibility. And when something's out of balance, then there is a list of out of balance. But right now we're staying with the positive. So in any case, it would be what, number 3 in the numbers. So mind, body, spirit. But air, movement, intuition, creativity, knowledge, especially the horse, right? Magical prowess, a champion, the hero, the horse, the winged horse nobility showing up in many mythologies where the horse rescues, helps other heroes. They're victorious. An ace is, number 1. King Bear. So it's very interesting going into our higher perspective, just in talking about higher perspective, higher dimension, higher entities, air, airiness, the ease of travel, invisibility, and materialization, manifestation. So I'm going to pull oracle cards on this to ask them to help us with our allowance, our shifting of our higher perspective and observation of all that's next. I realize that some of my topics seem so similar, but I also think it's so pertinent for everything that's going on to really keep checking in with ourselves in our observation, in our mastery, and our wanting all this self-love and self-care, and yet exponentially sending that out to others. And I think this is a real time with so much of what I call the Truman Show that's on your television or in your newspapers, or sometimes as you're walking by on the lips of other people, to really just letting it go, blessing it, and rising up in despite. So, what iconic image messages, images do you want us to assist us with this allowance, with this shifting in our higher perspective, in our mastery? And so on that interview, the angels or guides, basically, I think they talk about either, heaven, the ethereal, the mastery of wisdom as going to the upper room. That's what they refer the higher realm, place where I think our higher selves are, that are really us waiting, us informed, waiting to what we have a higher self, but really our broader, our more wisdom-like self is that in the upper room. And that's why we meditate or get silent or question, or pay attention to the subtle synchronicities, because we're being helped from that higher room. So let's see what the cards will bring us on. The attentiveness, becoming, stepping into of this higher dimensional perspective that is us. So I have 4 cards on the oracles. We're going to set this aside. We're going to see how everything comes out together in numbers and connection and I have cards that are about caring, loving, nurturing, travel, moving forward, and you'll see virtue, nobility, setting things right, journey, the mastery of moving forward in journey, of being virtuous, coming out of a deep sleep. And the last card has always been difficult for me because it's almost like a duality card. It's us in our aristocracy, in our wisdom goddess, like what do you call, like wealthy, um, like an aristocratic, almost a royal lineage, not necessarily liking what's going on, but making peace with what is, and making an allowance that all things are well despite where we might be right now. And again, this is a card that's sensitive for me. I don't like when I get it actually. So I'm going to take us through all of that. And then I'll probably pull one last tarot card. I think that will call for this. But it was really great to get these two right off because I think they are so positive for an uplift into this renewal time, into this creativity, this intuition, this knowledge, and actually being firm and authority and champions of virtue and champions, like literally we can travel through air, when people talk about, not just remote viewing, but when you go out of body. And some people like to do that and they're very comfortable with it and they come back in easy. I definitely have been out of my body at least twice in a big way. And sometimes I think I basically step out often when I'm driving. Maybe that happens to you too. And you're on autopilot and you're thinking something intensely, whether it's a happy thought or not happy thought, or you're working out a scenario, and then you find yourself, oh, did I pass that? Where am I? Sometimes you're disoriented. So it's very interesting. I think I'm going to also, this reminds me of using even more protection around time like that, because we do leave our bodies and we do leave our bodies when we sleep, not in them. But yet we're breathing. we have it, we've come back in. So we do wake up, for the most part. Anyway, yeah. Let's look at these and let's write down the numbers for them to have some fun with that. Okay. And number 12, which is a 3. We have a 19, which is a 1. So we have the ace of air. We have another number 1. We have a 35, which is 8. And we have an 11, which is 2, or balance. Okay. So about our allowance into this shift, into this stepping into our higher, our higher perspective, which is our higher selves, basically, our evolution. Go forward and leave the past behind. So I believe this is Magdalene. So it's not Sarah, but I thought it was about Sarah, who went on a journey and left the Middle East. She would have been Jesus's and Mary Magdalene's daughter. But let's see. I have this one I do want to look up. So one second. Here we go. Feminine wisdom and knowledge have been suppressed for too long. Even if you want to strike out on your own, it will be worth it in the end. Be strong, let no one intimidate you or compromise your integrity. So that's what we're doing right now, in this understanding that we're in a great awakening. In this understanding that we don't want to ignore, in a sense, like there's all kinds of things happening, right? All kinds of stories happening, right? All kinds of people feeling everything and sometimes changing their minds. And sometimes in front of us, there's a lot of discomfort, discord. But then we don't pay attention. We may not watch TV. We're not going to get involved in the drama. We know something else is up. And we're smart and attuned to, I'm going to choose something else. So even so, in our smartness, sometimes we get smart-assy and smarmy on others and in our own knowingness of how we should be, but sometimes fail to be, because we are still coming to terms with our power, because we are, and this is really what's disturbing and disruptive even for us who know so much more. If in fact, for example, so simply, television lies and the stories are made of, and it's really one big Truman Show episode. If it's been a lie for the past 2 years, 20 years, 60 years, 100 years, and every single foundation that is crumbling has to crumble because it's all been lies. And everything you know that you based a personality on And choices, for the most part, that we did under best of circumstances, no matter what, were based on lies, were based on beliefs that were only beliefs and definitions that we can change, but based on circumstances that really were always a small, tiny funnel of perspective, of seeing of truth, because we didn't have as big a picture as now that we're allowing ourselves to step into a broader perspective, a higher dimension, which is such, which is being expected of us and asked and supported by the ascended masters, by angels, by guides, by galactic family, elemental family. This is our time. So it's go forward and leave the past behind. Even if you must strike out on your own, it will be worth it in the end. Be strong. Let no one intimidate you or compromise your integrity. Granted, I know for me, I am in my own way of my integrity sometimes because of my learning and my triggers, and I so want to be like right and have a voice about, but so glad in some ways or some things I haven't been caught doing that, which would have been seen so backwards. And it's number 3, mind, body, spirit. Very, very great. So leave the past behind and forward. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take anything for granted. A sacred cave with an iconic, angelic, higher mind, an alchemist, and at one point, a knight or a knights templar, at one point, would have been an iconic image representing virtue, a seeker of truth, slicing through falsehoods, pinning down evil, getting to the bottom of things, going on adventures, crusades, a representation of the hero's journey. We are on our own hero's journey and as a collective. Don't take anything for granted. And part of that is because everything is connected to everything else. And we can't take our powers for granted anymore. It can't be a table talk conversation. It is, her words are our wand. I know when I spew red block, and I know when I'm speaking truth, and it feels so happy and great to be happy. So this is number 19, which would be 38. Let's just see. If you are called to serve, step up to the plate. Acknowledge the gift as borrowed energy that can be a grail of creative possibilities if used with a sense of responsibility. Otherwise, it will disappear in the mist. This is our time. The guides are asking us, even in their support of us, to step up, to go forward, leave the past behind, but to not take any intimidation. And while it will be tricky or feel uncomfortable, just be strong. Do not take anything for granted. Everything we do matters because all the invisibles are going to hold us accountable. I know I'm accountable for my mouth, and I am so protected in my car when I drive. I am so protected about even when I have energy mishaps with drunk people in the car, and I can feel all the whatever, and I start to feel sick for 6 minutes to 15 minutes. And I'm having the incense after, but there's some little piece that I want to allow in my own mastery and energy where nothing gets infiltrated past my protective shield. I want to step the game up on myself. So here I am feeling that energy, sending it out, doing transmissions and such. There are moments I need to ask more questions and perhaps set the protection after every ride for now. So I'll be checking that out in myself. Don't take anything for granted. So this was a number 19, which is number 1, straight as an arrow, knowing thyself. Way past that. Okay. Strong, assertive, we were just asked to uphold ourselves, to be strong. Know thyself, power within, a great start to new beginnings. This is a time for so new beginnings. Let go of old energies. If we've been choosing some negative or patterns or struggling, yes, I know I've been struggling with something. Maybe you have too. And if you haven't been, it's okay. Help me know your tricks of preservation and moving forward, because we are all in this together, but not in the evil way. We are all in this together because we can't escape the oneness that we come from. And even though, in my belief, we were not created by the God infinite mind, we were created by others in the God of infinite mind. And we were created out of love and or the love of others who wanted to be like us. Very tricky, right? All that slope of which galactic family came up with this verse. But the Garden of Eden is a story. Imagine how many stories that we base beliefs on are false, because they are a diversion themselves from our own true roots of mastery, galactic ancestry, our heritage, and how to really use the power. It's going to be a very great unfolding. Some of us on the planet, whether it is no mask or mask, are going to fall apart. They're not going to like it, and they're going to fall apart. Those of us who know and stand strong because we're remaining open, turning things over and embracing whatever the hell is coming because we really want to stay in virtue, we're going to be fine. We're going to ride that wave. We're going to ride that wave as if we're like on the dragon, the sea monster, the spaceship right on outside, holding the reins and just going forward in our we call our core is going to be so centered on, I got this. I know who I am. And just, it's an amazing, amazing vision, amazing creation. So this one, I want to find out who that little image is. So this is the goddess sovereignty is who we're seeing in this mist and all that luminous plasma light blue ray. So she's in a waterfall. This is a sacred place. She's in contemplation. Okay, and let's see. Well, actually, that's the goddess. And I'm thinking here, the rendition is a little image there, if you can see a little image. And this is the knight taking instruction from his intuition, in his vision quest. It doesn't really talk about this particular knight, but whatever the goddess wants you to do, it cannot be taken lightly. It must be in the recipient's heart and in the mind to have the quest, to have this power awaken. Otherwise, it's casting pearls before swine, and it could be destructive. So it's a little bit like us, well, a lot like us now. We know the guides and masters and angelics and galactics and elementals, and all that is wanting us to rise and to embrace this time that collectively we've asked for. And if we don't embrace it, it's like taking the gift and not only spitting on it, but also the gift is wasted on those who cannot see it, feel it. It's not in their heart and mind. It's not somewhere in their field for them to kind of sense and allow that sense to help them wake up and rise. So in some cases, they will just be coming out of their cave. Their hearts will just be starting to be open. There is full room for more in their hearts. You hold in your heart a space to be filled. So even with someone like me, I say all these great things, and then I fold up. But there's room in my space for everybody. There's room in my heart to hug. There's room in my heart to care. And yet it's to know that fine line of do not cast pearls before those totally are shut down, because it is their example to move on a different way, to leave the planet in a different way, to have that soul path in that way. It's just, knowing our own selves enough that these are the folks we know are receptive to want to rise up, and there will be a group that you bless and just let go. And you do not give it any other power. You do not give it sadness. You do not give it any emotion you would name to let that group be transmuted into the field, into the cosmic field, or go to the golden portal where it cannot hurt any more themselves or others and be transmuted. So hold your heart in a space, you hold in your heart a space we feel this number 8, the infinity symbol, the balance, the light, the dark, the yin, the yang, the negative, the positive, the eternal foreverness. This is the card that most bothers me. It bothers me because I see the goddess. I see the goddess. I see an ancestry of regalness. I see this Aristotelic, galactic lineage that can be represented in all of us. Acclimate, accept where you are. And it can be extremely tricky to accept where you are. Like, in other words, she sees the home fires burning, yet in her heart, it's not really where she wants to be. It doesn't represent all her home fire. And there's a little bit of doubt, or maybe acclimating, that this is what is going on right now, and an acceptance of it, because she knows when the time comes, she will be beyond it and will have to make a choice to stay or to rise. But still, while in the midst of, she must acclimate, because to acclimate accentuates the power of now and the power within her. I get this card sometimes in my own life, and it's a little disturbing for me because I don't want to accept where I am. But the acceptance of where you are does not mean you're stuck. The acceptance of where you are right now and having a reverence for percolating, a reverence for growth, a reverence for an allowance, a reverence for noticing, observing, does not mean you're going to be rooted there forever and ever and can never make a change. It just means that now is a time to be partnered with what is in the moment in such a way as you know that there will be an unfolding and movement. Now is not the time, but to bless what is, to be in partnership best you can with what is, to notice there's value in what is at the moment, but you are from a higher timeline space. You are from a heritage that knows so much more, and yet you find yourself in this spot. And it's to say, okay, I will see and do as best I can with what there is right now, knowing that as the road forks, I'm going to choose the correct road, because I'm going to choose that road less traveled. I will eventually meet up with all family members, all folks that I've wanted to be in touch with. And let that go. Okay. So, in any case, that's someone I can talk to later. In any case, this is a card that is actually pointing to a higher perspective. Being with what is, not getting hooked into a lot, and yet observing so that we can get to the higher room, so that we are in the higher room, so that we are ascending with help to our higher dimensional perspectives. And accepting where we are and acclimating to where we are can be kind of, it's bumpy, it's a transition. And it's a transition as we acclimate to our higher selves anyway, right? Some of us are dizzy, some of us feel sick, we're triggered emotionally. Some of us are super, super sad in those triggers. Some are still holding on to old beliefs and talking in old ways, where to me the funnel seems old, archaic explanations. Some of the woo-woo people for me are like that. In, whether they're crying and falling down, their triggers are coming up, or whether they're leaders and their leadership and they're talking about something that sounds very biblical, and yet while they're wanting to have people move forward and it just still to me sounds like old righteous biblical way of being godly goodly. And I think the new is more galactic, is more embracing of the totality of stuff that kind of those futuristic science shows have been made of, but we just thought they were entertainment and that people we like to see as actors were those folks morphing into the aliens or flying spaceships around. Number 11 of this card is that balance, the coming together in partnership. Let's see. Vibration of balance, male and female, light and dark, co-create with the universe, resonates with peace, flexibility, diplomacy, adaptability, a number of optimism. Are you not, if you hear my voice, feeling more optimism? I wish for you that you are feeling optimistic. Why listen to 46 minutes of me? There must be something about you that is seeking a higher road, a more positive timeline, knowing that you are a positive timeline and you're not going the other way, despite whatever triggers are there. You're not. You're going ascending up. Our bodies are changing for that. So we are in acclimation time. Allow yourself to connect with your higher self. So what was this topic about? Aligning with this higher perspective, our higher dimensional selves, for our transition into this world that we have very much a say-so in what we're creating and living into next. Now, I know that I'm not always the best example, but I will always use my life as an example for you to grow from, for you to catapult into a much better place, and for you to say, yeah, I got that. I like that, Coyote. But I love mostly being who I am right now because I am observing, I am allowing, I am finally taking triggers and I will turn them into humor. But I do look at them so that ultimately that wick of trigger just dwindles itself down so it's not there. So there's sort of like a no care, a carefree, and that I'm so allowing of others. It doesn't trigger me. And I don't care if they do feel good, and I don't care if they don't feel bad, and I don't care because I will always still have an open heart to embrace and include, but I don't let my power out to spend too much time on anything, especially for those like, oh, you tried to do that to me. Forget it. It's like that, but yeah, it's less than that. And it's like, oh, yeah, I'm good no matter what. Yeah, I'm good. Okay. Well, I see you as well, like Yeshua. He saw people, the people that came to him who felt unwell. They were ready to surrender. They were ready to like say, okay, do the magic because I have tried everything and I need to get out of my way and recreate and be renewed. Saw them as well. And he was so in that state of alignment. Yeshua ben Yosef, the Christed one, so in alignment, his presence moved people to get that frequency and so their discord could be corrected. And that's why he said, go and tell no one, not right now, because you yourself have to let it percolate in you and let it resonate so that you know you were transmuted, that you were healed by your own request. So let's just see what the numbers are overall. Oh, do you want to pick another card? Do we need another card? Do we need another card? Would you be sure for a card? 1 second. Yes? No? Just keep saying you get another card. Okay, I'll get you another card. So it won't say yes or no. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't speak to me that way. So show us a final tarot card on show us a final tarot card on. Okay. The Ten of Earth. In tarot, 10 usually does mean change and or new beginnings. Let's see what this will say. Affluence, material abundance, mastery, financial security, inherited wealth and knowledge. I am now able to step back and observe results of what I built through my dedication and hard work. I claim ownership of the castles I built, that have taken form in the material world. I have achieved mastery, inherited treasures of knowledge and experience thanks to all I've been through. I smile appreciatively at my run of good fortune. Let me just see what number 10 is for this particular artist. An energy of completion and firm endings of cycles, the manifestation of the element in undeniable, observable ways. Observation keeps coming up a lot, that word. I think I'm experiencing the concrete results. The clouds have broken. The evolution is complete. I can now move on to the next experience. So to me, this was a lot of support in this time that we're going through about allowing ourselves into our higher perspective, that this is also possible. It is possible. It is. And there's an element of knowing and accepting a just isness and a 10th earth, and it's earth, right? So let's see. Let me just check one thing, huh? Earth, fertility, wealth, abundance, strength, and wisdom. These numbers, I'm just going to take the oracle numbers and see what we get. 4, 8, 12. Okay. Final number for the oracle cards is 5. So this all supports this allowance, this transcendence, this rise of our galactic selves, the rise of our perception. Number 5 is adventure, change, manifestation, the journey deep within, or the journey without going on a trip. Earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Go forward and leave the past behind. I wish that this was helpful for you. Blessings to you whenever, whoever you might hear this. Deborah, thank you for coming on for the time that you might have. My coyote heart loves you. Let us accelerate and allow to activate the power within.